Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is it permissible for a person to do good deeds on behalf of someone else, especially if they've passed away? So my mother's passed away, can I pray salah and ask Allah to send these rewards to her? Can I recite Quran and give it to such and such person that's passed away? Now the majority of the ulama, including Ibn Taymiyyah, including Ibn al-Qayyim, they have said that this is permissible. Now this is to highlight that, I've seen some people that go into extremes on this, where they have said, oh, these people are falling into innovation, etc. This is an issue of fiqh. This is an issue of genuine difference of opinion between the ulama. And on the side of those people who say that it is permissible is Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah. However, Ibn Taymiyyah is actually quite balanced in this. He said that it is permissible. Now the majority, they say it's permissible. Now this is very important for us to understand also. Quite often when a person has passed away, they culturally obligate one another to do tasbih and Quran on behalf of the deceased, and if you don't do it, it's as if you've done something which is wrong. No, this is not. All the majority of the ulama who have said that it is allowed, they have said it's permissible for you to do so. So Ibn Taymiyyah, taking that permissibility, he says that it's permissible for a person to do so. However, the Salaf didn't do it, so it's better to leave it. This is Ibn Taymiyyah's stance, and you can see the balance in what he is saying. What is the evidence of the majority? The evidence of the majority is that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he found a woman once, and she said that my father has passed away and he owes such and such as a fast. So he says sallallahu alaihi wasallam, فَدَيْنُ اللَّهِ أَحَقٌّ تُسْتَوْفِيهِ. It is better or is more appropriate that he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, don't you know, or wouldn't you, if your father has passed away, he's left behind a debt with somebody else, wouldn't you pay it off on his behalf? She said, yeah, of course. So he says sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then the debt that you have or your father has with Allah is more befitting that you fulfill it. So now this is now proof to say that if a person has left behind any cash debt, or if they've left any kind of act of worship which is due for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you can do it on behalf of the deceased. The majority have then made qiyas, an analogy with this. They have said, okay, if you can fast on their behalf, then you can pray on their behalf, then you can do tawaf on their behalf, then you can do recitation of the Quran on their behalf, you can do adhkar on their behalf, you can say subhanallah, alhamdulillah, akbar, or Allah send this to such and such person that's passed away. However, as Ibn Taymiyyah has said, this is permissible, it's not something which is binding, and he himself, even though he takes that permissibility view, he says that this is something that was not actually practiced by the Salaf. There's another view, and this is from the Shafi'i and some of the Maliki. They have said that it is not allowed at all. And the reason why is because ibadah, worship, is tawqifi, is legislative. It can only be supported by what you have evidence for. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَمَا أَتَاكُمْ رَسُولٌ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Whatever your messenger has given you, then take it. Whatever he has told you to stay away from, then stay away from it. Therefore, from the understanding of this is that ibadah and worship is legislative. It can only be brought about by actual evidence. And you can't make up worship. أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاءُ شَرَعَ لَهُم مِّنَ الدِّينِ مَا لَمْ يَأْذَن بِهِ اللَّهُ. Do they have partners who legislate for them religions? Do they have partners who legislate for them the religion for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given any permission for? Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who legislates in his religion. And that is ibadah, and this is how we can get closer to him with what he has told us to do. And this is a principle which is agreed upon from the ulama anyway. There is no disagreement on the fact that ibadah cannot be brought about except with evidence, right? Ibadah can only be established with evidence. However, the difference of opinion between the majority and, like I said, the Shafi'i and the Malikiyya, is that can we make analogy on something which has already been established? So the majority says, yes, you can make an analogy on that. And we do this in other areas of fiqh. So for example, if you can combine when you are traveling and there is difficulty involved, then you can combine if you are ill because there is difficulty involved. However, the view of many of the contemporaries, and for me I think this is the safer view and the more correct view, as Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah also says is not being practiced by the Salaf, is that a person should not do these things except for what has been legislated. Especially the fact, and this for me actually makes it more convincing, is that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had Khadija pass away, he had his own children pass away sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he had his uncle pass away, Hamza, who he had a lot of love for. He didn't do anything on behalf of them. Rather, he made dua for them. Rather, he mentioned their good deeds, and he mentioned their name, as in he didn't forget who they were. And on behalf, that's not really a good deed, but the good deed that he did on their behalf was dua. Had reciting or praying or anything like that been legislated, surely he would have been the first of the people to do this. He had the most love and the most care and compassion for people to be successful. Harisun alaykum bil mu'minina ra'ufun rahim. So had there been any goodness in it, then he would have wanted this for Khadija, of course, but he didn't do that for her. Therefore, there is no evidence to do acts of worship and send them on behalf of the deceased, except for what has been legislated. And again, like I said, this is not an issue that a person should become, tashdeed and become very strict in. This is an issue where there is legitimate difference of opinion between the ulama. Very quickly, what are some of the things that have been legislated? Number one, dua. Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ya mata ibn Adam inqata amalu illa min thalath." All of his actions, when the human dies, all of his actions they cease to exist, except for three. Sadaqatun jariyah, so you can do sadaqah on their behalf. Or ilmun yuntafa bih, if they've got knowledge that they've left behind, then spread it. You can do this on their behalf. Or you make dua and istighfar for them. Oh Allah, forgive him. Oh Allah, make it easy for him, etc. Also, what has been narrated is that you can. So we've got sadaqah, we've got knowledge, spreading knowledge that they've left behind. We've got dua. We've got umrah and hajj. There are narrations which support this. We have got fulfilling of their debts. We've got keeping of family ties and ties of friendship as well. We've got udhiyah is an issue where the ulama have differed. Is udhiyah included in sadaqah or is udhiyah separate? Some of the ulama have said that you can do udhiyah on their behalf. This is because the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he did udhiyah, meaning the qurbaniya at the time of Hajj, he said, wa ala Bismillah ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. On behalf of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. This now includes the deceased. And this seems to be the correct view. Therefore, there is no such thing as a separate udhiyah. However, some of the ulama have said, no, udhiyah is a form of sadaqah and is included in sadaqah that you give on their behalf. Just trying to think of anything else that the ulama have mentioned. These are some of the things that have been mentioned from the ulama. I mean, there are other things that pretty sure that have dalil for them. That have not come to mind at the moment, but these are the things that the ulama have mentioned. Therefore, there is, according to the stronger view, that Isal al-Thawab has to be something which has dalil for it. Otherwise, it would not be legislated. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us all tawfiq and success, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy on us when we go through what they have gone through, and that He gives us acceptance in the dunya before the akhirah, and that He has mercy on the deceased of the Muslims. Wallahu a'lam wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.